On today's show, is Billy Napier coaching his last game at Florida this weekend, and how good is Texas A&M? We'll discuss. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along on today's show. Steve McKinney will drop by, former A&M offensive lineman. We'll talk to him about how good are the Aggies, and we'll also get you caught up with the latest news going on around the conference. Injury reports abound, and the latest on Billy Napier. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and now on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, broadcasting daily across Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and of course on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. All right, let's get into it. As we got to start with the big news over at Florida. This news leaking out yesterday that apparently Billy Napier will not survive a loss to Mississippi State. This is according to USA Today's Matt Hayes, but according to the report, Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland met with a handful of influential boosters on Tuesday. During that meeting, it was made clear to Strickland that ongoing financial support for the football program hinges on a new direction for the football team. And according to Hayes, who cited unnamed sources, Billy Napier could be fired as soon as this weekend if the Gators lose another game. Now, there were some other reports out there saying win or lose, Napier is gone, as Florida will get ready to head into a bye week, that the timing might just make sense. And with other big name jobs open like Penn State and Arkansas, other jobs that could be opening down the road, maybe you want to get ahead of this thing if you're Florida. But again, reports saying if Florida were to lose to Mississippi State on Saturday, the administration appears ready to make a move. Your move, Jeff Levy. I mean, no pressure on you, but hey, if you win this game, you're going to get another guy fired. Again, not his responsibility, but of course, Napier confirmed earlier this season he was still the man calling plays for the offense, and it has been up and down. According to USA Today, Napier's buyout would be just over $20 million. That's less than half of what Penn State just committed to pay James Franklin. Napier would be owed 50% of his buyout within 30 days of the school's decision to terminate, and then equal installments of 12% over the next 3 years. The report also mentions in the event Florida decides to fire Napier, Scott Strickland hopes Napier would coach out the rest of the season while Florida looks for a replacement. Yeah, that's real great. Hey, Dead Man Walking, you want to hang out here with us and keep coaching the team? Napier, of course, in the fourth year with the program. He is just 21 and 23 so far, and we'll see where Florida thinks to go from here. But as for Billy Napier, he was asked about facing scrutiny from fans and media and everything else. He told the media on Wednesday during his weekly teleconference, he's just focused on the future. He said, for me, ultimately, we got to get consumed with what's important now, and you live with the results. I think we all want better results, even sometimes when we win. I think our product isn't as good as you want to be. So in general, I think it's about focusing on today, the work, the process, and helping our young men maintain humility when they're having success and try to keep that enthusiasm where it needs to be. So we'll see. Mississippi State kickoff 3:15 Central, 4:15 Eastern on the SEC Network on Saturday from the Swamp. Now, there was an interesting news report. Heather Dinich over at ESPN, she was on the Pat McAfee show, and she was talking about the Penn State opening and said there's a bunch of different names that could be linked there as Terry Smith takes over as the interim head coach. But Dinich threw out some names, even including Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer, Ohio State's Ryan Day, and Oregon's Dan Lanning. She said, look, down the stretch, is Kalen DeBoer happy at Alabama at the end of the season? I don't know the answer to all these questions. Would they leave? That's a part of the question. I think it's a little ridiculous. I mean, Alabama is a better job than Penn State, hands down. I think maybe you can get into the conversation of, the pressure of the job and all that. But at the end of the day, I mean, Penn State, they'd have to shell out a ton more money. Now, look, would Kalen DeBoer have an easier path there to maybe win championships? I don't know. But, yeah, I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. Pete Thamel, by the way, he threw out who he thinks Penn State will hire. He said he thinks it's one of the Matts, either Matt Rule at Nebraska or Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Yeah, that seems a little bit more realistic there. All right, let's jump back to Kalen DeBoer and Alabama. We got some injury reports. Kalen DeBoer talking about Jam Miller. He said, I think Jam Miller is probably what we would put in a questionable state for the weekend as far as the injury report. That's kind of where I see it right now. As for Derek Meadows, he got knocked out of the game with a concussion, and DeBoer went on to say Meadows will most likely be out for this game due to lingering effects of the concussion. But obviously, Jam Miller has been, I don't know if I go as far as say a difference maker, but a very good running back for Alabama when he has played this season. So we'll see if he is there to go this weekend. Over at Texas A&M, LeVeon Moss, he will be out, suffered an ankle injury in Saturday's win. He's expected to miss this game. Mike Elko said earlier this week, doesn't think it'll be season ending, but he is going to miss some time. So A&M going to lean on Reuben Owens as the lead featured back, along with Amari Daniels as they head to Arkansas for their game this weekend. But really the only player of note that's out for A&M. As for Arkansas, a lot of the same names that they've had on the injury report the last couple of weeks that will be out in this one. How about over at Oklahoma? Brent Venables dealing with some injuries over there. They will be without a couple of their offensive linemen that have been banged up. But Keontez Lewis, their wide receiver, he is listed as doubtful for this one, whereas their running back, Javante Barnes, is listed as questionable. As for South Carolina, Brandon Cisse, their defensive back, listed as probable, and Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy on the defensive line listed as questionable. As for their quarterback, John Mateer, speaking with the media this week, said, full go. I played in the game on Saturday, so if anything starts hurting, I'll chill out. On Wednesday's teleconference, Brent Venables announcing also that wide receiver Jaden Gibson, no longer part of the Sooners roster. He is expected to hit the transfer portal, according to On3's Pete Nakos. Over at LSU, an injury to watch. Apparently, Whit Weeks is listed as questionable. LSU star linebacker. So that was the big one heading into this matchup against Vanderbilt. The good news is they are expected to get wide receiver Aaron Anderson back in this one. He's listed as probable. Meanwhile, defensive lineman Jamari Butler listed as questionable. Bernard Gooden listed as doubtful. So those will be names to watch on the D-line for LSU. As for Vanderbilt, linebacker Langston Patterson listed as probable, and D-lineman Linus Zonk listed as questionable. So a couple of injuries to watch there. But yeah, Brian Kelly saying about Aaron Anderson on Wednesday, he went the entire day of practice. His player load is good. We kind of monitor those things with our wide receivers, but he is in practice this week, so we expect him to do a nice job for us. So keep an eye on that Whit Weeks injury, though. That could be a key one if LSU misses him on Saturday. Over at Texas, they're preparing to head out to Lexington to take on Kentucky. A couple injuries there for the Texas Longhorns. They have Jamarian Wilcox, TJ Baxter listed as doubtful, the running back. So keep an eye on him. Obviously, been missing him a couple of games already this season, been banged up. Trey Wisner, though, not on the injury report. So that is good news there. For Kentucky, Jamarian Wilcox, their running back, listed as out. And two players left the Texas program this week. Running back Jarrett Gibson and kicker Will Stone, both planning to maintain a red shirt and will enter the NCAA portal. So we'll see where they end up in the offseason. And then one more note over at Auburn. Hugh Freeze, he's been going through it this year. He revealed that he spoke to Greg Sankey in the SEC office after the officiating complaints they had from the Georgia game. Hugh Freeze saying, I was on the phone quite a bit this weekend, had conversations with Commissioner Sankey and John McDade, explained how I felt. They listened. Obviously, they want their group to get it right all the time. And it's just there were some that they did not get right, in my opinion. And they could disagree with me, but it's hurting our football team, and it's hurt, in my opinion, our record. At press conference, he shared his response to fans who may be questioning how bad things are going. He said, look, I can't control what your expectations are or what theirs are. I know what ours are. Ours are to get ready to go win a football games, just like they were last week. I thought we had a really good plan for our kids to do that. Lastly, Paul Feinbaum, doing an interview this week, asked about Hugh Freeze and Auburn. He said, in terms of what we're seeing on the field, it is suboptimal. It's below par. This is a phrase I've never used before in talking about Auburn. It's not what Auburn people are paying for. That's from the coaching staff to the players. To me, the one thing about Auburn that has always been consistent is there's been an expectation to play for championships, a realization that sometimes that's not possible, but Auburn people have always been unique, that if Auburn people feel like you've done everything you can and you lose, they can accept that within reason. But they are not getting what they paid for, according to Paul Feinbaum. So good stuff there. All right, there you go. That's the latest news going on around the conference. Coming up next, we have not talked much about Texas A&M this year. They're only the number 4 team in the country and undefeated. So when we return, we'll talk to a very special guest, a former Aggie himself, to get a perspective on Texas A&M this weekend, going into their game against Arkansas. That's coming up next right here on Locked On SEC. Hey, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Go join the free Trademaster program today and score some serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use our code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. This episode also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. In the NFL season, we are in the middle of it. Of course, college season as well. And FanDuel, they got an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Mentioned all those college games happening this weekend, particularly ones in the SEC. They got them all up there for you at FanDuel. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel, they're going to make the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Go visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. That is FanDuel.com. If you've never signed up before, take advantage of that great offer they have for you at FanDuel.com. Roll along here, Locked On SEC, and a pleasure, an honor to be joined by a former Texas A&M great, a guy who is being honored here later this year at the Texas Bowl for his fantastic career that he went through, and of course, still talking Aggie, still keeping up with him with our guys over at TexAgs each and every week. He is the great Steve McKinney joining us now. Steve, welcome in, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you doing this. It's funny, you know, we talk all things SEC, and we get different perspectives. We had our Texas guy on last week ahead of Texas OU and all this. And I feel like we haven't talked a ton on the Aggies this year. And you stop and you look up and go, oh yeah, they're only the number 4 team in the country and one of the best teams out there. So
Yeah.
give me your perspective, man, on how this season has gone so far as they sit here at 6-0.
Well, I mean, I've watched pretty much every snap they've played this year, and I can tell you it's a different team than we've had for a while. It reminds me a lot of the 2012 team, Johnny's Heisman year. It's just they got a lot of playmakers on offense. They got a very experienced offensive line. They got a really good quarterback that's proven to be able to make plays whenever he needs to. And then defensively, they're shutting guys down. At least the last 3 games, they've pretty much locked up every team they've played. Holding teams 2 for 34 on third down is an incredible statistic. So I think if they're able to play complementary football like they have been, this is a team that's built to compete.
Yeah, it's been outstanding to see what they've done so far. And, I think what to me, Steve, is, we knew Mike Elko was going to bring the intensity defensively. We know how good they were defensively last year. We knew how good the run game was going to be. And Marcel Reed kind of emerged as the season went along last year as the guy, but we knew he had the running ability. And we said if he can improve that passing game and show his arm, then they could take that next step. And, man, you go out and get 2 studs like Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion. I think we were all surprised the first few weeks. And I think also they weren't running the ball as much the first few weeks because they wanted to showcase that arm and the passing game. So what have you made of kind of that transition?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a big question mark kind of going into the season is, hey, we know we can run the football. Are we going to be able to throw the football? Can we beat teams in the air? Can we be more explosive in the passing game? And I think we've demonstrated, yeah, they absolutely can. They're very explosive in the passing game, and frankly, I mean, the first few weeks, they were making us do that. People were loading up the boxes. They were running a lot of run blitzes, things like that, to kind of make us beat them throwing the ball, and we were able to do that successfully. So I think it's given all the A&M fans something to feel good about, that we can go compete with pretty much anybody in the country with this team, and they haven't even played 4 quarters of good football. They're playing 2.5 quarters every game and still winning pretty convincingly. So if they do figure out how to put 4 quarters of solid football together on both sides of the ball, man, this is a team that can beat anybody.
Talking with Steve McKinney, and what's so interesting about this team, Steve, is they've only left Kyle Field once this year, and that was up to Notre Dame, and it was a barn burner of a game. It took a miracle last minute play, but these next 3 games, they go on the road in the SEC, and we've seen how tough it is to win on the road in the SEC. So what do you make of these next couple weeks? And obviously going up against an Arkansas team led by Bobby Petrino that really has nothing to lose, right? Like, he's coaching because he wants to earn that job full time. So a little bit of a dangerous spot. And somebody pointed out, I think Petrino's 3-0 in his career against A&M when he was the head coach at Arkansas before. So a little bit of a danger spot this week.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, if you're an A&M fan, you don't take Arkansas lightly. No matter what their record is or how they've been playing before your game, like, that game is always tough. They always play us close. It always comes down into the 4th quarter. So we're fully aware of what we're going into, and especially being there in Fayetteville will be a huge challenge. And but this is what's going to tell the season is these next 3 games. Can we go on the road? Can we win games in hostile environments against good football teams? And I think if we can come out of this 3-game road series, at least 2-1, I think we'll be in really good position for SEC championship game and the playoffs.
Yeah, and then look, a week ago it looked like that Texas game might not be difficult, and then Texas goes and beats OU, and now they're kind of back on track. So we'll see what Arch Manning looks like by the time you get to that game. Exactly. I wanted to ask you that perspective real quick, because you played with the Colts and of course Uncle Peyton. But is it surreal to you to see Arch Manning quarterbacking the Texas Longhorns?
It is. I mean, just I remember when he signed with them, committed, I was just like, oh my gosh, really? Like, I'm gonna have to look at a freaking Manning at UT for the next 4 years. But I mean, they're a great family. I mean, I know all of them pretty well, and come from great stock. So I know Arch is going to be a really good player. He's had a few struggles early in the season, but he's shown flashes of what he could be, and I think he's just one of those kids that he's going to figure it out. He's going to be really good. He's just not quite as polished as I think everybody wanted him to be to start the season, but he'll get there.
More with Steve McKinney in just a second, but first, guys, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda, they deliver confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes, they sweat all the details. Mazda, they bring that same intention in how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything else, from smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through almost any season. And just like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. If you've been thinking about buying a new vehicle, go check out our friends over at Mazda. They have quite the inventory going on right now. It is Mazda. Move and be moved. Mazda. Back to the Aggies real quick. Offensive line, obviously, is your expertise, and I think they've performed pretty darn well so far in run blocking and pass protecting and all that. But they lose LeVeon Moss to an injury. They say it's not season-ending, but it's going to be out a while. I can't help but look back, Steve, that was kind of the turning point last year when they lost Moss. That's when they lost 4 out of the last 5. Now, I think Reuben Owens kind of impressed us all, and I think he's okay to carry the load with Amari Daniels, but how different is that run game going to be without Moss back there?
And it's going to be different. I mean, I don't care how you slice it. I mean, LeVeon Moss that's a big loss to lose him, even if it's for a while. I mean, there's no guarantee when he'll be back. by all accounts, it sounds like it's going to be a while. So, I mean, best case, we're looking at maybe Texas game or thereafter. So, you got some pretty important big games in front of you that you're going to have to win without him. And like you said, Reuben Owens has showed pretty well against Mississippi State, running for like 140 yards. Amari Daniels carried a lot of the load last year. We got a freshman in Morrow that's going to have to step up, and then EJ Smith, who I thought ran really well last week at the end of the game. Showed a lot of fire and desire to get extra yards. So the running back room is going to have to step up. The offensive line's done a great job all year. I think they'll continue to do a great job. They're seasoned veteran guys up front with a lot of talent. So, and they're well coached by Coach Cushing. So I think that this run game is going to be tested probably Saturday, but for sure the Saturday after that at LSU, and how we perform running the football against these next two opponents is going to tell us what our offense looks like without LeVeon Moss. Because right now it's just anybody's guess. We're all just kind of hoping that Owens can step in and fill that role the way Moss did.
Was that a little bit of an extra dig to put Emmitt Smith's son in to finish off the Florida game? I felt like that was a little bit of a exclamation point there.
I feel like it was too, and I'm all here for that, by the way. But I think I think he ran really good. I mean, he ran hard. He's basically in there running. I'm like, okay, why we should probably be using this guy more. If he's going to run like this, he should be getting more carries. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how it plays out. Quick thought on the defensive line. I thought maybe they'd take a little bit of a step back this year from what they had last year, but the emergence of Casius Howell and all these pieces, I think they're just as good as last year's unit. Where do you put this D line so far?
Oh, I think they're more productive. I don't know if they're more talented, but they're definitely being more productive. I mean, Casius Howell, I think he's got like 8 sacks on the season at least. He's been living in the backfield. Teams are going to start having to, and probably already are, account for him and not just leave him on an island with guys because, he seems to win those pretty easily. And then up front, you got, DJ Hicks, you got Regis. But these guys are good, man, and they play freaking hard. And they've been playing really sound gap football. Last year, a lot of the problems we have is, we were doing a lot of these run blitzes and twists and stuff, and guys were getting out of position up front, giving us some big gaps in the run game. And they've been a lot more solid, a lot more disciplined in their run fits this year. We'll see how they go do it on the road. People always say defense travels. So we'll see this week is their last outing on the road, against Notre Dame, tough opponent. That has some really good running backs and a quarterback that was playing really well. So we'll see how they do going on the road, but I'm expecting the defense to kind of keep doing what they've been doing. I'm not gonna ask them to get 2 for 34 on third downs over the next 3 games. That may be asking too much, but I expect them to continue, performing at a high level as they have been.
Was it you or your brother that suggested maybe bringing back the Wrecking Crew moniker?
That was me, and I'm still for it, man. I think it's a brand. I mean, we both agree, but I think it's a brand that they should be embracing. I don't think, there's too many fans, A&M fans that think, well, they have to earn that right, and if so you don't give them the title until they've earned it during the season type deal, like coaches and where they take the name off the back of your jersey and make you perform at a certain level before you put it back on type deal. In my mind, it's like, dude, that's just the name of our defense. That's the standard you're expected to play up to every single year. You may not always meet that standard, but that's the standard, and that's your name. So that's kind of my position. I think we're the Wrecking Crew, and we should embrace that title at A&M because when we were the best we've ever been, that's what we had. We had great defenses like we do this year.
Are you even you have to be taken aback by what Kyle Field has become here with 100,000 plus every week? I mean, I try to get it out there for at least one game a year, and man, it just never ceases to amaze me how loud that place can get now.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I was at the game last week with my son, and the night games especially. It's just such a different atmosphere than what I played in. I was playing in front of like 75,000 people back then. Now we're up to like 108,000 at games. and just with the lights and the music, and it's just an insane atmosphere. And we were sitting with the recruiting section, because my son's going there next year. So we're in the recruiting section, and I can hear the other recruits, and they're just like, this atmosphere is insane. You can just hear them like blown away by it, and I'm blown away by it too. And I see it pretty regularly. But it is an impressive game day experience. If you haven't been, I would highly recommend it, especially big games. It's pretty wild.
You were a Big 12 guy, so have you adopted to the SEC moniker? Do you consider yourself an SEC guy now?
I mean, we're in the SEC, but it to me, it's not. I don't care about the SEC. I don't care what other. I don't root for other SEC teams to win. Like I want everybody to lose except for A&M. So I've never been one of those guys who are like, come on, SEC. It's like, no,
Right.
I'm rooting for A&M and A&M only. That's it.
Well,
And the only time
I describe it this way, Steve. Like if Arkansas is playing Wisconsin in the Outback Bowl and they're chanting SEC, okay, sure, Arkansas, go beat Wisconsin.
Right.
But like if Alabama is playing for a national championship, no, you're not rooting for
No.
that guy to win the national championship.
I mean, with the way things are these days, like you should be rooting for your own team, and only other teams that you're going to have to play, or that's going to make your record stronger by them winning. That's the only
Right.
time you'd root for another team. That's it.
We're talking with Steve McKinney, and Steve, the news just came out this week. Of course, the Texas Bowl is one of our sponsors every year. Always a great event and great bowl game with an SEC team playing in it. And you are going to be honored this year. The Kinder's Texas Bowl Committee selected the 2025 class of Gridiron legends, including guys like yourself, Broderick Thomas, Robert Griffin III. So very cool honor, man. Congrats. And what was that like to find that out?
Yeah, I mean, that was really cool. I was very honored. Obviously, as an offensive lineman, anytime you get any kind of accolade, it's it's shocking, first of all. But I've been to the Texas Bowl many times, watched it, love going to it, love that it's here in Houston. Watched A&M play in it several times. So yeah, it's a true honor. I'm very, very proud of that and excited to be a part of that, and to go in with a pretty good class of guys too. With Robert Griffin III, even though he's a Baylor Bear, still like him.
Well, that's the thing. You're SEC now, but Baylor's not in the SEC, so you can
True.
give your hat tip to them. Steve, this has been great, man. Thanks so much for the insight, and again, congrats on the honor. And we'll talk again soon down the road, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, thanks again to Steve McKinney for joining us. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And hey, a reminder, you can check us out on television now. If you live in the Alabama, Mississippi, or Louisiana states, you can check out the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, home of the New Orleans Pelicans. We air there every weekday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central, right there on Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. Encourage you guys to check it out. And of course, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We are Locked On SEC. Thank you guys so much for making us your first listen every day.